This is a story of floating weeds, as well as floating weeds without the story part. But they're both directed by Yasuhiro Ozu. Now what are you gonna do? Hello there, Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection Reviewer Guy here with number 232. A double feature of Ozu, an Ozu double feature. Story of Floating Weeds from 1934 and Floating Weeds from 1959. The same story, different titles, different actors, different names, same blah. Same director. Anyway, Story of Floating Weeds, 1934, 86 minutes, black and white, silent, Japanese intertitles. Intertitles, not subtitles. Yeah. No. Intertitles. I guess English subtitles. Makes sense. Floating Weeds, 1959, 119 minutes, color, monaural, Japanese. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, same story. Ozu decided to do it. He did the first one in 1934 and remade it in 1959. And yeah, so basically, same story. I'll tell you about it. I'm gonna focus on the characters in Floating Weeds because it was a little easier to understand the movie the second time around. The plot is a little complex, so I'm gonna focus on that one because it was a little easier to understand because with the silent film, you have to kind of pay attention to who's watching who, who's talking to who, and the subtitles, all that, and sometimes, like in most silent films, you get the character talking and then you see the subtitles or the intertitles, what they're saying, and then you move on, or you see more of their speech. In this, and I don't know if this is the editing or not, but you didn't get I missed a lot of that. It's like you'd see the character, you barely see their mouth move, and then they start talking. Or you wouldn't see the character talking. Or you'd see, like, a character talking while the camera's on another character. So it was hard to keep up with who was talking to who, so... And that, it was just hard to, keep track, too, because I decided to listen to it without the score, because I don't like, I'm not big on silent movie scores, so I just like to watch it as is. I think I did the same thing with Nanook of the North, when we did that first season. So yeah, I just like making, I write my own score. I just, riff tracks it all, It's kind of fun. But anyway, so Floating Weeds. Let me tell you about Floating Weeds. So, both stories are about a traveling, like, group of performers who put on, like, kabuki plays. And the head manager, the owner, his name in Story Floating Weeds is Kihashi. In Floating Weeds is Komajuro. I'm going to focus on, like I said, I'm going to focus on Komajuro, but I'll give you the names of Story of Floating Weeds in a minute. So anyway, Story of Floating Weeds is about, this traveling team, and the owner's name is Komajuro. Komajuro is in a town with his former mistress, what was her name? Oyoshi. They have a son together, whose name is Kiyoshi, and however... Kiyoshi does not know that Komajuro is his father. Rather, he thinks that he's his uncle. He thinks that his father died a long time ago. He was, like, killed in some war or something like that. And so they keep the secret together. But they still hang out, and Kiyoshi, really digs him because he's like, oh, this uncle, hey, how's it going? So anyway, the lead actress of the plays, Sumiko, is Komajuro's current mistress. She gets upset and pissed off that he's seeing Oyoshi, so she goes down to his eatery where they're together, where he and Kiyoshi are playing Go, and she interferes, and he's like, dude, back off, you're just a mess, go away, I don't want to see you no more, I'm with my son and my former mistress, so back off. And she's like, I gave you the best years of my life. Why don't you stay away from these old women? I'm like, oh, don't you dare do it. Don't you do it. So anyway, Sumiko's pissed, basically. Sumiko goes to a young actress who's with them, named Keo. And she pays Keo to seduce Kiyoshi, I guess in, like, an act of revenge. And Keo's like, I don't want to do this. And though she eventually sighs and says, all right, I'll do it. She goes to seduce Kiyoshi, and she ends up falling in love with him. Always, love screws up everything. It always seems to. And so she falls in love with him, and she eventually is so enamored with him that she has to come clean and tell him, look, I'm really sorry, but we are, I've been leading you on this whole time. You know, I'm really sorry, but I kind of dig you, dude. You know. So anyway, so Kiyoshi, Kiyoshi kind of falls for her as well and says, it doesn't matter, However, Komajiro finds out about their relationship and gets really pissed off, and has and tells KO off, but says, but KO says, oh no, I really love him, and so he's like, all right, okay. So he goes back to Sumiko and beats her basically, and that's something that that's one difference that's between a story of Floating Weeds and Floating Weeds, is that the violence is a little more, there's a little more violence in a story of Floating Weeds versus Floating Weeds. The violence is more violent in a story of Floating Weeds. That, and it is more explicit that Kiyoshi and Kaio have had sex at some point. You see them in bed together, I think, at one point. Whereas in Floating Weeds, you just have to assume. And so anyway, by this point, the business has been bad, and so Komajiro decides to say, we got to break up. So he goes to tell Oyoshi, and she begs and pleads with him to stay so he can be a family. They can be a family together. However, when Kiyoshi comes back with KO, he gets upset with him, and they have a confrontation together. And Oyoshi finally says, look, I have to tell him the truth. And so she finally tells him that, he's his father and all that. And so Komajiro, all upset with Kiyoshi's reaction, because he refuses to accept the fact that, like, it's not he ain't my daddy, So Kiyoshi's upset. Komajiro's upset that Kiyoshi's upset. He goes to leave. However, when Kiyoshi has a change of heart, he goes to find him, but his father's gone. And so so Komajiro's at the train station, and he's waiting. And Sumiko comes up and asks him, "Hey, where are you going?" And they decide to get back together again, and they start a new venture together, and basically, they go off together, and that's it. It's a very sad movie. Not as sad. I don't think it's as sad as Tokyo Story, but that's basically the plot. Now the differences, most differences, obviously, black and white color, silent, speaky, talky, I guess, if you will. And the stylistic, the camera style. By 1959, Ozu had mastered the whole, the low camera angles, as well as there's a lot of perfect, like, sitting still and looking at the camera, and then like people talking directly to the camera lens, when they're talking to us, they says speak directly to the camera when they and act as if they're talking to the character, even though they're looking at a camera. And so there's a lot of bodies looking straight forward and speaking and all that, looking directly dead into the camera lens, So that's something I noticed, and that's definitely an Ozu style that I think I noticed a lot in Good Morning and Tokyo Story. So yeah, that's basically it. We'll keep it there. I think, like I say, I think not as strong as these two films. This story is not as strong as Tokyo Story or as Good Morning, but it's still a really good film. And Ozu, Ozu is showing me that he's a fantastic Japanese director, and he's like probably right there. He's right under Kurosawa. I'd say Kurosawa, Ozu, and then, oh gosh, yeah, I'm trying to think of other Japanese directors. Definitely not the guy who directed The Pornographers. He's all the way down there. He's in the bottom, But who else? Anyway, we'll leave it at that. We'll figure out the top 3 Japanese directors when the time comes. Maybe at the end of this season we'll do a wrap up and all that. So yeah, that's it for me. Rating. What can I give this rating? B+. Give it a B+. Yeah, B+. Yeah. Like I said, the plot's a little confusing. The violence is a little hard to watch, but You know, I mean, it was the different time back then, but still, it's still kind of ooh, you know. So I'll give it a B+. And that's it. No subtitles. I mean, no supplements apart from the trailer of Floating Weeds, and that's it basically. I thought about listening to the audio commentary for a Story of Floating Weeds because hey, you know, there you are. But I don't really want to hear Japanese film historian Donald Ritchie's voice, because when I think Donald Ritchie, I think white guy. You know, I'm like, what the hell is this guy? The guy that knows about things, you know. Now for Lionel Richie, I'm like, well, you know, hello, is it Kiyoshi you're looking for? Yeah. Oh, the names, yeah. So, Story of Floating Weeds. Kihashi is Komajuro. Otsune is Oyoshi, I think. Yeah. Otaka is Sumiko. I think, yeah. I'm actually not sure. Yeah. But I know Kihashi is Komajuro, so. But anyway, I just wanted to, yeah, but I would recommend Floating Weeds. Story of Floating Weeds, I would recommend both, you know, just because you could see how, you know, two different sides of the story. But I think Floating Weeds is the ultimate, you know. So, yeah, that's it. Floating Weeds, Story of Floating Weeds, B+. Well, I give Story of Floating Weeds B, and then Floating Weeds B+. How about that? We'll do it like that. All right, so that's it from me today. Thursday, Wednesday I have work. Thursday, Thanksgiving, we should be doing Stray Dog. And then Friday, Tin Drum. Saturday, The Leopard. And then that's it for this week. And yep, so that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Morals. Don't lie about your son's father. And don't pay actresses to sleep with your master's son. I don't know. This is a tricky one. Yeah. And if you're making a silent movie, make sure to be perfectly clear as to who's speaking. There you go. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on Thursday for Stray Dog. Kurosawa. Right on. Alright, and until then, goodbye.